When I found out Dr. Stephen Greer was presenting The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It, the movie premiere, I jumped on a plane from Australia straight to LA. The man himself was at the LA premiere. I was honoured to be there, and this is what Dr. Stephen Greer had to say.
The hundreds of you who come out, the thousands of you who are watching online. And in particular, I want to thank the people who have been with me for so many years. You're going to see people with me like Raven for 25 years, Pat, Justice, Marcel. There's this whole group of people who have dedicated their lives. And I'll remind people, this entire effort, it's 33 years running, has never had an office or a full-time staff. It's love. And we're just really blessed to have such dedication. I want to thank all of you guys, because the crowdfunding of these documentaries is how it's happened. There's no corporate funding. There's no one who's telling us we can cut something out or have to cut it out because they don't want it, which is what would happen with this heartless, soulless, money-grubbing entertainment industry. So, should I just say that? I'm sorry. So we have total freedom to tell the truth and the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So that is the whole purpose of the Disclosure Project. It's not often popular. And I think that most people don't really want to hear the entire truth about it. But in the next 6 months to a year, they're going to have to. I mean, every person on planet Earth, for reasons I'm going to go into in a moment. But I also want to thank folks who were in the film, in particular Fred Durst of Limp Bizkit. There he is. Thank you, brother. He volunteered to narrate the film, and he did an awesome job, you're going to see. I really want to thank Philip Latham, who's been a producer on it. And in particular, I want to thank people on my team who have been in the movie and also worked with me for years, like Michael Schratt, who's a specialist on crash retrievals of extraterrestrial vehicles. Thank you, Michael. And the other members of the cast who are here, who have been interviewed in the film, Dick Russell, who works closely on the environmental issue, Charles Eisenstein, also consciousness environment, Adam Curry, you've seen him in other films, brilliant scientist, and trusted person on consciousness and these technologies and their interface, because that's really the future. Maurice Campbell, who worked with Boyd Sweet, you're going to see this in here, a device that would have run the entire planet that was in the 80s, that got confiscated by these fascists. It's enough. We're done. We're done with that. Moray King, who is a great energy researcher, whose book is available. There are a couple hundred copies here that you can get for free that he sent over. A brilliant scientist who's worked in this field of free energy, zero-point energy, and energy from water using the type of technology you're going to see in here. Now, the reason all of this is so important right now is because the Congress is moving very quickly to disclosing the UAP, as it's called, in UFO issue. But let me just tell you, they make up a new name for this stuff every few years. It's all nonsense. Unexplained aerial phenomenon. What is this, ball lightning? So let me shorthand it for you. There are two things. They're extraterrestrial vehicles, and they're the man-made ones, the advanced technology, alien reproduction vehicles. The dominant phenomenon that people see are actually ours. And they're coming out of the Lockheed Skunk Works, Northrop Grumman, Raytheon, E-Systems, EG&G, etc. As you all know from the Disclosure Project event about 3 weeks ago in Washington, we are organizing and now have 150 attorneys and legal professionals to launch in the coming months in all 10 federal districts racketeering influence, corrupt organization lawsuits against all those corporations and individuals involved in the confiscation of these technologies you're going to see tonight. Within 3 days of the National Press Club event, an amendment to a bill from the Intelligence Committee of the Senate and other committees passed that is allowing a window, a safe harbor or amnesty period for these corporations and individuals involved to come forward. And if they do not do so within 6 months of the signing of this amendment, they will be prosecuted criminally. Now, we hope that none of that has to happen. And if that isn't effective, there are other measures that are being developed. But those are the ones we don't want to see happen. I will only say that within 9 months to a year from now, things that have been kept secret for 75 years need to be disclosed and disclosed honestly, or it will be done. They will just simply be done. I'm not going to say more than that, but I'm involved with the team that's on that project. What we have to understand is the reason this is so important is because these rogue and illegal secret government programs and their corporate sociopaths who are behind it have now become an existential threat to all life on Earth. Not just the environment, not just global endless war, not just a sort of global totalitarian insanity, but they have advanced technologies. We don't go into that in this film too much, but you need to be aware of it, that are targeting extraterrestrial assets in space. And those technologies have reached a point where they are a serious threat to other worlds. Now, this has been a problem since 1945 when we detonated the first atomic bomb. Let me tell you very bluntly what I've been telling members of the Senate and House. And the day after I land in DC on Monday, on Tuesday, I'm meeting with a senior member of the Congress to go through this. But when you detonate one of those, there's the what people know about the EMP, right? The electromagnetic pulse. It could take out all electricity and communications in North America placed in the right point over the continent. But what people aren't being told about, which Edward Teller and the people on the Manhattan Project that developed the atomic bomb didn't know, there is a so-called scalar wave that goes out attendant to that. That scalar wave moves in a quantum entanglement, which means it's faster than the speed of light. And that's why all these civilizations became concerned. Why? Because it rips the fabric of space-time and interstellar communications and travel. This is why every nuclear facility has been overflown by extraterrestrial vehicles, because it is such a threat to Earth and it's such a threat to other worlds. We think in terms of straight line, right? But think about what quantum entanglement means. Every point in space and time is connected to every other point. And this reality, which is a proven fact of physics, quantum entanglement in physics, that when you weaponize that capability, which is what has happened, then the civilization that does so is then a threat not only to themselves, but they are a threat to others. This is the crisis we're in that's unacknowledged, that people are not really aware of. Now, members of the Senate Armed Services and Senate Intelligence Committee began providing to their most senior people 17 months ago all this information. The entire Congress and the White House and Pentagon now have a database that has 145 black sites on it, and it has 755 whistleblowers information in it. That information, the unredacted version of it, are in the hands of a few people. You folks, please contact your members of Congress and your 2 senators and the president, the White House, and ask them to pursue that information to get this under control. Because we not only need to bring out these technologies and literally save the biosphere, but we also need to get these illegally run projects under control, because they are a serious threat and it's growing daily. It's been growing for 70 years. Now here's the risk. The risk is that group could hit a bunch of buttons and false flag operations between now and 9 months from now. I'm just saying that to you. But we're going to do everything we can to avoid that. The other part of the false flag, as in all kinds of hoax events, an alien invasion event, which they're fully capable of doing using these advanced technologies. And that is the big risk for members of Congress, because they are just beginning to get their minds around this problem. The Senate is about 17 months ahead of the House. But I'm meeting with the senior member of the House on Tuesday to get, 17 months caught up there, right? And the reason we have to do that is that they're going to start working together to hold open hearings in the House. But they've already been gaslit by one whistleblower that I provided information to, who came out the week of the National Press Club event for us. And he immediately fell into the clutches of this cabal of sociopaths and is now saying that the aliens are murdering humans. Not true. Those events in Brazil and elsewhere, those are CIA and related projects using these advanced technologies that have been doing abductions and mutilations and killing people, and at times exploding entire villages. We know this. We have the witnesses to it. We can prove it. The problem is the public and the so-called UFO subculture, and now the Congress, that rot and that disinformation is getting pushed to the fore as we push this disclosure effort forward. The worst outcome is that the entire United States government gets converted over to this false flag narrative and then authorizes further these actions that threaten universal peace. So this is a very fraught time. I would encourage people to be very aware that we need all hands on deck. And this is a time not to be sitting on a fence. I'm making also an appeal to people who have the means to help us create what you're going to see in this film, this lost century and how to reclaim it. Here's how we reclaim it. We reclaim it by very quickly developing or acquiring these technologies that are zero-point quantum vacuum free energy, open sourcing them, no more patenting, no more secret sauce, full Monty, it's out there. Why? Because there's no time left for that content. And so I would say that this film is really about a call to action. The first part of it describes the problem and the history going back over 100 years of these technologies being in existence, and how they were suppressed, why they were suppressed, and who did it. Where are the 20 trunks of papers of Nikola Tesla? You'll see in this film we have the proof that the FBI stormed into his place, stole them the day he died. Now we're going to sue specifically for those to be released. All of them. So this organization, the Disclosure Project and the attendant operations, particularly the CE5 initiative, those of you who understand CE5 contact, have seen close to time for the fifth time, thank you for doing it, because the heart and soul of what we're doing is that it's got to be guided by a higher vision, not of endless war and conflict. What we're trying to do is avoid the conflict and to resolve this issue peacefully. Unfortunately, that matter will be no longer possible in about 9 months, because a group is being stood up to get this under control, and it will not be through a legal process for hearings. This is why the Congress listened to me carefully. You have a clock on it. In 6 to 9 months, we need action. For that to happen, because it's a democratic republic, all of you and all of you listening online need to take action. Call your congressmen, call your senators, write to them, go to their offices and say, pay attention to this, and don't be fooled and gaslit by the false flag information. Because that is the big risk right now, as disclosure is happening. It is happening. I can tell you what you're seeing in the media is a fraction of what's happening behind doors, both in the Senate and the House, because I'm involved intimately. And so I just think that we have to let them hear from the public and not let them be hijacked over into the wrong path. Because there are two paths here. A path that results in disclosure, the release of these technologies, and peaceful contact with these extraterrestrial civilizations. That's one path. The other path is ruinous and catastrophic. There's really not another path. we were first doing the disclosure project and gathering the first tranche of top secret whistleblowers in 2000. We were at our home out in the Blue Ridge Mountains in Virginia, about 20 minutes down the road from Thomas Jefferson's house, who wrote the Declaration of Independence. I have to say that because I met somebody graduated from college recently, they didn't know who that was. Anyway, I don't comment on the educational system collapse, but but interestingly, we're working on this, and I know this sounds very odd, but Thomas Jefferson's voice came in, like from another dimension, said, the next American Revolution. Those words, just those words. It's not just American though, it's global. It's a change on the whole planet's functioning. Because when you bring out this information technology, this science, what happens is that the world is liberated from the yoke of the current order. And there is true freedom and prosperity and abundance that will blossom all over the world. The 3 billion people in poverty, that will end within 20 years. So the time for being on the fence is over. We hope people will come forward. If anyone has one of these devices, please contact us. We have a pathway to get it out, and we will get it out. We have the security operations in place, and we have funders ready to help with that. We also need people, though, pending someone with an operational device that hasn't been corrupted and already encumbered, to put the funds together so we can create a zero-point quantum vacuum energy lab that will open source all this technology very, very quickly and save the biosphere, but also save humanity from the clutches of a international psychopathic group of folks. I was talking to one of these people who works in black projects. He said, the folks who are running those rogue elements, they're recruited based on their being sociopaths or psychopaths. Absolutely true. So, and that's, there's only 4.5% of the population are sociopaths and psychopaths. But the high functioning ones are the ones who are involved. So those of us are vastly in the majority are good people on the planet. And it's time for us to be counted. We cannot be sheeple anymore. We have to be awake to this and take action and create a beautiful world for our children and our children's children. My wife and I are going to have our 44th anniversary next month. She's the angel that's made all this happen, supported it. I have 4 daughters, have 12 grandkids. So what kind of world are we leaving them, right? So what I'm saying to people is we have to choose that world. The extraterrestrials aren't going to land on this planet and force it. That's not going to work. They'll only intervene under a worst-case scenario, a very worst-case scenario, open. And that you don't want to see. That you really don't want to care about that. So in the meanwhile, we have to gather together our own efforts and realize we can do this. We absolutely collectively do this in the next 2 or 3 years, and in the next 10 or 20 years, transform the entire planet. That's what this project is about. That's the true mission of planet Earth, that both the extraterrestrial peoples and all of us working on this project are working to achieve. So thank you for joining, and thank you for your support. God bless you all, and enjoy the film. I love all of you.